Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. So today's one-a-day is God created the vehicle, okay? But you've got to master it. Now, you may not believe this or want to take this in, but I guarantee you that 9 out of 10 people that are watching this video right now are poisoning themselves on an emotional or physical level today. And they did it yesterday, and they'll do it tomorrow. Okay? Understand something, that most of society's systems are all built in a way that you unconsciously, subconsciously attack yourself and make money for corporations and systems. Yeah, you got it, okay? Look it, God created the vehicle called your body, but only you can hold the key to turn on self-healing. And this key is called self-care, it's called self-love, it's called self-respect. It's called self-discipline. There's a lot of selves in this. And so people say to me, and I've been going on about this self-love, self-care thing for over a quarter of a century. And now people are starting to go, okay, well, let's check it out. But I can tell you right now that I've even had people say that it's the devil's work, okay? Because self-love, self-care, self-discipline, self-respect, being centered in the self, all of these things really matter, okay? They matter more than anything, because if they don't matter, you are going to destroy the matter, which is your physical body. Almost all healthcare systems do not empower self-healing. They have been created to create the illusion of healing. Seriously. How many people out there go out into the system, whether it's even natural like chiropractic or massage therapy, or it could be our deep tissue therapy. But unless you're actually training your patients, your clients, how to do what you do, how to master their life, okay? Not manage pain, but to eliminate pain, okay? Then we are the poison. So like I said, almost all healthcare systems do not empower self-healing. They have been created to create the illusion of healing. Look, I know what healing is. And healing is called bliss. It's called joy. It's called omnipresent, okay? Understand something. We are in the disease business, okay? Or should I say the business of disease. And we are. Take a look at your friends. Take a look at your family. Take a look at the way they think about themselves, the way they drink, the way they eat, how they focus on things, and how they respond to things, how they react to things. Look, when you put your faith in mankind, the body takes a back seat, or may even become obsolete. That's right. The body becomes obsolete, and it gets sold off a pound at a time. Look, self-healing is the only way. It's nature's way. It's the only way. And you need to get this. We will continue to create emotional blocks within our body until we understand the true definition of disease. Now, did you get what I just said? We will continue to create emotional blocks in our body, and we don't even know it, okay? And this is from the dysfunctional beliefs that we have. And those things are not based on self-care, self-respect, self-awareness, self-discipline, okay? So until we understand that the true definition of disease is an unconscious, subconscious dislike for oneself, did you get that? The true definition of disease is having, okay, is an unconscious, subconscious dislike for oneself. All right? And understand something. This has been given to us through all society's man-made systems. And I don't care. There's a whole bundle of religions out there that are the most toxic, poisonous things. I wouldn't go near them. You can see the way that they herd their people, and they hurt their people. You can take a look at the government. Same thing. You can take a look at almost any system, and you're going to see that it'll have little golden thread of help. And then throughout the rest of it are just pitfalls and detours, okay? So let's talk about these threatening blocks, all right? Okay, so we know, as I told you many times, is that everything starts off invisible and goes to visible. Everything starts off from the invisible and goes to the physical. A tumor is a chronic, life-threatening emotional block that has been created by continually feeding it negative frequencies from the same negative emotions being repeated over and over again because of the dysfunctional belief systems that were never yours in the first place, but were unconsciously downloaded in your brain. You actually believe today that your personality is your personality. Well, I'm telling you, you are so far from reality, you couldn't even smell it if it was right in front of you. Okay? You are not your authentic self. I am not my authentic self yet. We are not our authentic self until we're pure of spirit. And that means that we know what total unconditional forgiveness and love is for the whole world. Do you know what that is? How easy is it? How fast can you go 3, 2, 1? You're off the hook, Daryl. I'll learn from this. I won't burn from this. Can you do that? Well, if you can't, then you've got guilt. And that means you've got sinner's guilt. And I'm telling you right now, I'm coming up against all the sin in the world and telling you that sin is the poison. Sin is the main thing why people will actually do suicide, why they will drink themselves to death, why they will do drugs, why they take prescription drugs to numb themselves out because they can't even be with themselves anymore. So, negative issues, toxins, parasites, heavy metals become stored where? In low integrity body tissues. So wherever your weakest link is, wherever the sports injury is, wherever you got injured when you were younger, is going to be the same thing that puts you in a nursing home or gets you a cane, a walker, wheelchair, or got you wearing Depends. And all of this is victimitis, and none of this has to happen. Look, the reason why people are producing more fat than ever before is that they are more physically and emotionally toxic than ever before in history. Did you get that? We are fatter today and getting bigger today because we are not growing consciously. We are growing physically toxic. So when you grow physically toxic, you will continually make fat cells. Because where do you store all the inflammation? People say, well, I'm 45 pounds overweight. And I go, no, you're not. You're 45 pounds inflamed. And that inflammation will soon turn into mutation, which is cancer. Why do you think 1 out of 2 people are going to die of cancer? Because you allow yourself to be inflamed. Okay, so 10 pounds overweight means 10 pounds of inflammation. That's what it means. So now you're going to say, well, what about the person that's underweight? Well, guess what? They're in worse shape than the person that's overweight because the inflammation, which is the dysfunctional beliefs that they have about themselves, is eating away their organs and their tissues right now. They're not even making fat. They're on their way out like a rocket. So understand, the more toxins and negative emotions that we take in, the more fat cells we will usually produce. Like, that's not obvious. I mean, you can hardly find healthy, lean, keen people. Okay, so what people do not realize is that, here we go. So you got the fat cells that are storing all these emotional and physical toxins that you're doing because you're poisoning yourself every day. I guarantee you there's a lot of shortbread in the house right now. There's more alcohol in the house right now than ever before. And there's a lot more eating going on. And because we get emotional at Christmas time, so we overeat. I can't wait until I hear about all the sickness, I got to tell you, whether you want to believe this or not, last week, 4 people called me up and said they were going to commit suicide. One was a trucker with a family with children and a wife. And I said, well, what is it? Why do you want to get rid of yourself? Is it the children and the wife? No, I just don't understand. And so I talked to him. He's in his truck. It took me 20 minutes. And guess what? The guy drinks 4 quarts of Diet Pepsi a day. Okay. So anyways, I told him you got to quit cold turkey and you can use super cinnamon in your water to balance your blood sugar levels. Okay, we overnighted that to him, and I got to tell you something. The visions of suicide left in 2 days. How's that? Okay, had another lady that was on Diet Coke, and she had MS. And believe it or not, we got her off the Diet Coke. We tried so many things nutritionally, got her off the Diet Coke, and she got out of her wheelchair. So understand something. Sometimes the things that have been accepted in this world can be the ones that destroy you. Understand, the worst toxins in the world are at every corner store. People are poisoning themselves. How many times do you go to a corner store every week? Because there's nothing good in a corner store. So that's how much you abuse yourself. Okay? So take a look through your house today and let's see how many thoughts that are beautiful, positive, how much really beautiful, pure, clean food you bring in compared to everything else. And don't ask yourself why Sally, who you don't like at work next week, is going to give you the flu when she didn't. You created the environment that the bug jumped in, and now you're sick. So let's get back to our story. So we know that we're creating fat cells to store the inflammation because of the infection that we created through our emotional and physical things that we do, whether it's thinking or eating or drinking, right? Okay, so what people do not realize is that scar tissue stores even more toxins than fat cells. Oh, but hold on a second. But tumors store even more and worse toxins and parasitical invaders than scar tissue. So I need everyone to get this, because this is where we're going, because you need to understand something. The reason why you're not getting old, you're just getting stiff. Okay, you're not getting old, you just have less oxygen and less blood flow because of all the physical blocks in your body from the scar tissue, the displaced calcium, and the crystallization. So you need to get this, and I'm telling you, I will back this up with a money-back guarantee, and I will continually do this. And I'm telling you right now, the world of health does not understand health. The world of health does not understand health. And I'm telling you that I truly do understand that. I may not understand a lot of things in life, but I really feel like I've got a handle on it, because we are actually helping people turn themselves around when they've totally given up on themselves and they just want to die. Think about that. Okay? And we're doing it every day here. All right? And I'm so blessed, and I thank God so much for giving me the logic, because I won't say that I'm a highly intelligent person, but I will tell you that I'm logical enough to figure out things. And the problem with the world today is we are not logical at all. We have no common sense today at all. You can tell someone a lie and they'll just suck it right up because their belief systems are just steeped in bullshit. All right? And then you can tell somebody the truth and they'll just walk away from it. And guess what? It's not because the person is stupid, not because they're dumb, but because their belief systems are so based on corruption, okay, that they can't even process anything unless it's corrupt. And you can tell somebody something and you know that person, they're just going to do it. And even though it's going to harm them or harm their family, they're going to do it anyway. That's how programmed you are today. Look at. You will continually have to detox the visible unless the physical, you will continually have to detox the visible, otherwise the physical, until you detox the invisible. Otherwise, the dysfunctional beliefs that limit your healing potential. This is all it is. If you get nothing else out of today or nothing else out of me ever again, until you want to go and face the invisible, you will never get rid of the physical that you want to. The physical traumas in your life, the dramas, the pain, the suffering, the tumors, the fibroids, the pimples. I mean, do I need to keep going on? Look, you can remove a tumor, but did you remove the belief that gave it life in the first place? Look we must learn the 3 T's, and they are thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Now understand this, that every person that you know that's going to go and they're going to be diagnosed with cancer or an autoimmune disease, understand only one out of 1,000 maybe are ever going to be healed. There is no practitioner that's ever going to heal any person until the person lets themselves off the hook of self-hate. That's right. And you're going to tell me I don't hate myself. I'm going to tell you that if it's not self-love, it's self-hate. And it's not hate and love in the world. It's self-love or self-hate. All right? And that's it. And if you don't want to get this, it really doesn't matter to me. You know what? The thing that you're going to realize is I don't take things personal. I don't need people's approval. And you know what? I will love the world anyways, because I really found out, there was a time in my life when I had this guy who would go to school and he would just want to beat the crap out of me. And I hated him. I used to think about all the ways I would kill him. And that was the most toxic time in my life. And now, you know what? I send love to that guy because probably his life is pretty dysfunctional right now. I hope it's not. But the reality is that only 1 out of 10,000 people are ever going to free themselves on this planet, okay? So, this brings us to the biggest toxin, stress. There it is. The invisible injury that causes almost all disease. Look it. You ready for this? I love this one. The Heart Association does not even recognize stress as a factor when it comes to heart health. Who's the puppet here? Okay. Are you trying to tell me the heart Association does not recognize stress. Okay, so they are so toxic, they are so poisoned, and they call themselves the Heart Association. Well, they don't even have a bloody heart. They don't have a beeping, they don't have a heart that actually is flowing blood. Understand something, because there's no feeling here. Because everybody knows that stress is the biggest killer on this planet. Now, but stress should actually motivate you, get you going. Oh, I'm so excited. I love my life. I love my life. I got this. All right. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm doing this one a day, and I was just telling Lori, I said, you know what? I don't even have time to do this one a day, but I want to do this one a day because I've got another 35 paragraphs to write for the release of the A to Z Masterclass on Tuesday night. Can you believe that? Somehow I'm going to do it. I'm going to expand time. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So whether we're talking about the heart or any other part of the body, stress creates more inflammation. Did you get this? An internal scar tissue in the body than any diet. That's right. You could be hitting McDonald's 3 times a day. And if you're stressed out, you could be buying the best health products and you're undermining them all, because guess what? We are a spirit having a physical experience on planet Earth. That's it. There's no more to it than that. If you don't want to get this, that you don't want to recognize that you are a spirit first and foremost, and that God created this physical body for you to drive around in and climb mountains, go biking, go swimming, make love, hug, kiss, eat food, drink, be merry, but better watch it, what you're eating and drinking, because that vehicle, you know, if you go put leaded gas into an unleaded vehicle, you're going to kill that vehicle, and you're killing yourself. And you're going to say to me, I'm going to say, so how's your diet? And you're going to go, it's good. Compared to what? People out there committing suicide, eating suicide, drinking suicide. That's what they're doing. You know, to actually, you have to understand something. We have all these things that we could partake in. But the biggest thing is that we do everything in the search for joy and bliss and total love. Well, you don't have to search, because that's what you are. And you just got to watch what your physical actions are doing and your emotional actions, because that's setting you up. So your personality becomes your reality. So if you have cancer, then you have a cancerous personality. If you have an autoimmune disease, we already know that 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease. And we already know this, that autoimmune diseases, the definition of that means attacking oneself. And you had to be attacking yourself on an emotional basis way before a physical basis, before it ever came. You know, when I wanted to have a child, you know, my wife and I, we would talk about it. We talked about it for 2 or 3 years. And then the baby appeared. So guess what? You better watch what you're talking about, because whatever you talk about the most is going to become you. It is you. Okay? All right. So let's get back to it. The medical system and even the natural health system do not recognize scar tissue until it becomes a tumor. Don't you just love that? I think it's so amazing. I mean, all these natural health people, all these functional medicine doctors, I'd like to call them dysfunctional, because until you recognize that every disease in the body is a block, and every block in the body is either calcium crystallization or scar tissue, it's as simple as that. And none of that could be created unless you had dysfunctional emotional beliefs about yourself, your family, your life. And that's how it goes. That's the end of the story. I will debate with anybody, anytime on my show about this stuff. And it's not because I'm calling people out. I want to call the BS out. There are so many people out there that I love that I don't even know. And who in the hell is helping them? Who's going out there and helping them? Who's speaking up? Oh yeah, there's Dr. Wolfe with his big mouth again. Well, if I'm going to be called a big mouth, that's not so bad considering what I want to do here, because I'm telling you, there are children that I would love to hug that I don't even know. There are women out there that I would like to console because their men aren't awake yet. There are men out there that I'd like to console because guess what? They think they're unworthy. They think they're not good enough for their family. This has all got to stop, all right? All right, so let's get back on track. So the medical system and even the natural health system do not recognize scar tissue until it becomes a tumor. And even then, they do not have a successful plan. Look at, Scar tissue is the issue when it comes to your physical well-being. So you're made out of mainly tendons, ligaments, muscle, and organ, right? Well, all of this is tissue. So if it's not an issue in the tissue, then what is it? So understand something, that even in the natural health system, it took me so many years to unravel the BS in my own mind, even though I was natural health, because it's just like religion. You know, somebody says, well, I'm not religious. And I'll tell you, everybody's religious, because religion is in everything, right? And that's just like people will say, I could say, well, I have nothing to do with the medical system. Meanwhile, my whole formulas when I first got into health were based on the medical system. I was still treating the symptoms and I wasn't getting at the cause. And everybody in the health system says, you know what? You got to get to the cause. You got to get to the cause. Well, what a bunch of crap. You know what? Because you're not going to get to the cause unless you deal with the invisible first. And then you've got to deal with the blocks in the body, the emotional and physical blocks in the body. So if you're not doing that, you're not getting to the cause. So let's just not go on like some kind of a fortune cookie thing that we just pulled out, right? So scar tissue is the issue when it comes to your physical well-being. If we do not untie these invisible bonds, come on, people say, you know what? I feel like I'm restricted. I can't move my arm up. I can't wipe my bum anymore. I can't do my hair properly, okay? I can't jog down the street. I can't bend over and pick something up properly. You know what? We don't get old, we get stiff. No, we don't get stiff. We get crystallized, we get scar tissue, and we get calcium deposits. And we can put all the calcium back into your bones. We can turn all the scar tissue back to beautiful, healthy, young, connective tissue. And we can melt the crystallization in the human body. And we know how to do that now. So what is it that we can't do? We can do everything, especially if we want to go back to the invisible and take a look at our thoughts. You've got to do that, everyone. You've got to do that. So look at, if we do not untie these invisible bonds that bind us on an emotional, physical, and energetic level, human potential will remain compromised. Tell me you don't feel compromised. I guarantee you, even if you've done the work, okay, can you see that I study a little? I work a little. I work on people a little. Okay. Well, I'll tell you right now, I think I've finally gotten to 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of my potential. Not bad, eh? Okay, so the reality is I'm trying to tell you is your potential is unlimited. And if you ever think that you know it all, you know nothing. And that's the problem that we've gotten into out here, is that we actually believe we know it all now. We think we're so smart and we know nothing, okay? When it comes to issues in the tissues, you now have a choice. You can do drugs, surgery, or Wolfe Non-Surgical. And I'll tell you something. Now I'm going to talk about what I do. And Wolfe Non-Surgical, we lovingly will go in there and pull tumors, fibroids apart. You do understand, don't you, that 80% of all women over the age of 50 have a fibroid in their pelvis. How's that? 80% of all women have a fibroid in their pelvis. That's why I'm going to be bringing to the master class, I Am Woman. And when you read this, you're going to find out everything about yourself and how you've been screwed, tattooed, and blued. Okay? How, because you bring life into the world, you are so hormonally out of balance that it looks like all these organs and all these tissues need to be cut out of you and all these drugs need to be given to you because you're such an insane person. When meanwhile, you're a canary in the coal mine and the coal mine is ready to blow. So, now you have a choice. You can go to drugs and numb yourself out, and because you're hiding from an emotion, because it's the emotion that creates the physical problem. So now we'll get to the drugs and we can just dumb ourselves down because we can't process rejection or guilt or shame or any of this stuff. And it's all just made up. It's all just made up. You know, the people that you think you're guilty of and the shame that you think you did, they're not even thinking about you. So at least if you're going to do that, call up everybody when you're really feeling down and really beating up on yourself, and at least call them up and say, hey, you know what? I'm beating myself up for you right now. How do you like it? They're going to look at you and go, what, is there something wrong with you? Yeah, there is. There is something wrong with you. All right, so let's get back to this whole scar tissue thing. So like I said, is this. You're getting fatter because you're getting more emotionally and physically toxic. That's it. And we got to store the inflammation somewhere. until you decide you want to stop burning your life up, because that's what you're doing. You're a raging forest fire, and don't tell me you aren't, because you're causing trouble for yourself, your family, and everybody else. All right? So first it's fat, and then it's scar tissue will hold more toxins and heavy metals than fat. And then tumors even hold worse. Well, come on. You got to get this. So people are going to go, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So that tumor used to be just scar tissue. Whoa, dude, there's an intelligent thought. And that scar tissue used to be fat tissue. Whoa, that's not true. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It had a choice to go into fat cell or scar tissue. So, it was almost there. So understand something. Without gentle, loving destruction of these physical obstructions, otherwise blockages, you won't have healthy construction. Or in other words, a true healing. So go ahead. You know what? Go ahead and compare yourself to the average 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old. And guess what? You're just going to have a great old life, right? Because this is as good as it gets. Well, understand something. I am not going to compare myself to any of you, to none of you, because I was created by God Almighty, and I'm going to act like it. And I'm going to have a great day every day, no matter what drama goes on in life, okay? So let's get back to it. Whether we're talking about performing a heart release, now we're talking about the non-surgical. So we have a thing that we can go in and do a heart release. And when we go in there, you're going to find out that you have a fist around your heart, because your heart is the recorder of all your emotions. And because your heart's been broken so often, because you believe that you were supposed to get love from mommy and daddy and your husband or your wife and your children and the dog and anybody else out there that's willing to give you a piece of love, which is usually contaminated and conflicted and corrupted. Because you've got to get love from yourself. Love comes from yourself. That light that you shine out, that vibrational light of love, is what you give to others. You actually don't give people love. When you fall in love with someone and you get really excited about it, and you go, wow, I've never been in love like this before. That person held the combination to actually release and trigger the love that was already inside of you. That's it. Don't get carried away here, okay? If you actually think that you feeling total love is dependent on another human being, that is the most insane thought that I've ever heard in my life, because of where I sit right now. But 25 years ago, my little achy breaky heart would have taken any kind of love, whether it was contaminated from an alcoholic woman, from a drug addict woman, and I'm not downing these people. I'm just trying to tell you that when you're desperate for love, you'll do desperate things. And when we're physically abusing and emotionally abusing ourselves, it's because we're desperate for love, because the world sucker punched us and told us we were out to get it. Understand, the same people I hang around with now are not the same people I hung around with 25 years ago or 30 years ago, because things change. I hope the heck that we grow consciously, not just physically, right? Okay, so let's get back to the whole physical thing. So understand something. I had to put a therapy together, and I did this when I was 27, and this is the God's truth, and it's called Wolfe Non-Surgical. I had taken so many therapies. I mean, I took shiatsu, reflexology, massage therapy, trigger point therapy, the Fremer technique, okay, the capsules technique, all of these. And what I learned was, unless we're going in and pulling the fibers that are stuck together because of our glicky, sticky mind and our glicky, sticky diet, okay, they're going to adhere together, and then they become really tight and they become dehydrated, because inflammation creates a fire, and that fire is burning up your tissues, and that's why you're beef jerky right now. So I understood that we have to go in and pull this apart. Now, you can only go in on people and pull the fibroids, the tumors, the scar tissue, the calcium apart, if they're not overinflamed. If you get somebody that's totally terrorizing themselves on a physical and emotional level, that person is going to be retaining water to try to dilute the actual pain, the inflammation that's going on in their body. And if we inflame ourselves on an emotional and physical point too much, then I can't work on anyone, because there's no energy left for healing. So if I went in to pull a fibroid apart, or a tumor apart, or just a frozen shoulder, or somebody who says they have to go for hip surgery, but we can pull that apart. But with people that are out to destroy themselves, trust me, and I mean this. So if you know somebody that's really inflamed, they got to take a ton of drugs, that person is running a self-hate program on an emotional and physical level, and they're trying to kill themselves. I hope you're getting this. So I can't work on that person yet. I've got to do an emotional consultation and let them know that the main belief systems that mommy and daddy or the religion or systems gave them are actually in there destroying them, and they're a lie. It's not as hard as you think. Give me 1 hour, 2 hours max. I'll have that part turned around. Now, if I can get the person to go on a perfect day diet, right? If you look at my perfect day guide around page 37, read 20 pages, you'll get an idea about that. So if I can get them to do that for 2 to 3 weeks, we can go to that person and now we can work on them, because they will not be retaining water. The inflammation will have come down by at least 60 to 80%. Not kidding. So now that means that we've got that inflammation that they had, that 68% inflammation, now gets turned into stored energy. So when I go in there to take the fibers apart, the calcium apart, the crystallization to melt it, because of those blocks, that 60 to 70, 80% energy that now we have that isn't being burned up in inflammation can now come to that area and heal it properly. So understand something. Inflammation is at the root level of everything. And that's why if you go get therapy, or you do something, you go, well, I'm just not getting any benefits. Well, that's because your mind is terrorizing you, which is dumping the adrenaline and the cortisol continually in your body, which is creating the acidity. And then the acidity is creating the crystallization and the inflammation. And then your body sends the fibrin to try to block off the inflammation from spreading. So then we start getting fibrin in there, and that's why things get like beef jerky. And then the calcium goes after that. When it starts to mutate into a cancer cell, that's when the calcium really starts being pulled from the bones. This is why osteoporosis and osteopenia is so bad, because we're so inflamed. We have never been so screwed up. Don't you dare tell me that, oh, well, I see it. There's a big change happening. No, I'll tell you what there is. There's a big tsunami coming. And when enough people die in a family, and we have that happen across the nation, wait till you see how people are going to be so pissed. All right? But guess what? Like, it's not happening right now. You know, that's why, you know, they try to keep us all connected to sports, football, hockey. They try to keep our mind busy. All the BS on the news. You keep the mind busy. Don't ever think about your family. No, don't do that. Just keep thinking about out there, all the BS that they're making, dysfunctional belief systems. Okay. So now we're going to come back to the scar tissue issue. So that's the reality, and that's the reality in your life. I don't care if you've got a knee problem, ankle problem, you've got a throat problem, you got a sinus problem, you got a hearing problem, okay, you're even losing your hair. It's all about scar tissue and crystallization. Whether it's a tumor, whether you've got where your heart is racing all the time, you know, it's all about blocks in the body, okay? All right. So whether we're talking about performing a heart release, like I said earlier, a pelvic clearance, getting rid of the fibroids, crystallization, calcium in the pelvis, doing a breast lift, working on the hip or the knee, because we have a guarantee you're not going to surgery. Did you get that? Why do I say that? Because I want the world to be taught. I want at least one non-surgical therapist in every family in the world. That's my goal. So people can say I'm obsessed, but at least I'm obsessed about something that, you know, is not going to harm anyone, right? The biggest thing is when we're going in and pulling apart the fibers and the crystallization and the calcium, you'll have to breathe through it because it's painful, because you've been suppressing all this pain and all this emotion in your body, and that's why there's issues in your tissues and you're going to blow. All right? So what we want to do is we want to restore by getting rid of the physical blocks. These physical blocks must be removed so that the flow, otherwise your blood flow, your energy flow. Remember that thing called your spirit that nobody wanted to talk about 15 years ago because that was voodoo? Well, remember your spirit that you came with and you're going to leave with, because that's all you truly are. All right? That flow actually gets slowed up with the physical blocks in the human body. So the lymph gets slowed up as well. The blood gets slowed up as well. And then we dam up things. And if with every physical block you have, you slow down the flow more and more and more. So that means less oxygen is getting to the cells. So guess what? They don't give a crap how many blocks you have. And if you come to them with a tumor, they're going to look at your tumor and say, oh, we can cut it out, we can radiate, we can do chemical therapy against it. But are they going to look at you as a whole? Are they going to look at you at your spirit? Okay, here's the deal, what we need to do. Stat. We need to go in and remove the other 20 blocks that are in this person's body so that we can get their spirit flowing again, so that we can bring their spirit up. Because in a high vibrational person, you're not going to have a tumor, you're not going to have parasites, you're not going to have bad bacteria, fungus, and you're not going to have constipation and a few other things. But the deal is that these blocks are very important for the sustenance of our corrupt and infected society. That's it. Okay, so now blocks must be removed so that the flow and the tissue are restored to their original state of vitality. Did you hear what I just said? Original state of vitality. So I don't care what your tissue looks like when you come here, we will restore it. And I'm talking about the wrinkles, okay? I don't know, I'll never get rid of my wrinkles up here because I'm Mr. Intense. But the reality is the wrinkles on your face, the wrinkles on your body, they can all be reversed. Everything is going to get reversed if you understand, okay, that self-love and self-care must happen first and foremost, all right? So the more energy one has, the more healing one has. Is that logical? The more energy you create, the faster you heal. Flow must be restored. Understand, healthcare has become a detour with a very, very bumpy road. I don't even know why you guys even want to travel it. I mean, I would be going down going, hey man, this has got to be the wrong way. All right? When are we going to get that? Also understand, disease names are made to be misleading and distracting. All diseases are just symptoms that have been mismanaged and mistreated. If you become allergic to pain, you will die of the pain. How's that for a distraction? Western society does not have answers to heal. Who wants their pain managed? I don't want my pain managed. I want my pain mastered. And only one person can master your pain, and that's you. The greatest prison ever created is when you become stuck in a world of pain. Look at, honor the spirit or dishonor the body. Everything is frequency. We must rise, right? We must rise to heal. Let's be clear about this. Your government will never assist non-government regulated health. So when people say to me, well, are you approved by the government? I'll go, no, and I never will be. If I'm approved by the government, that means that I had to give a piece of myself to them to be able to be accepted by the herd. And I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to the butchers. End of story. So understand, these systems, they're owned and managed by the corporate world, all right? The government is managed by the corporate world. Insanity is believing that the medical system is the definition of healthcare. What you think matters. You can't hold a thought in your hand, but it's still the most powerful thing in this world. We must return to the old ways. The old ways are the only way. They are the Braveheart way. 3, 2, 1, I got this. 3, 2, 1, I love myself. 3, 2, 1, that was the old me. 3, 2, 1. Self-care, self-respect. 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to react. I'm going to take positive action or stay connected to my breath. 3, 2, 1. I got this. So, in the last 200 years, we have ignored the greatest part of us, the spirit. Never forget, hurt people will continue to hurt people. Welcome to the program. You do not have to be a victim of the world when you realize that the invisible thought holds all the power. This is when you start reshaping and transforming your world. Your beliefs and habits will either empower you or disempower you. Follow the status quo, okay? And guess what? This is a destructive mistake, all right? You either become the creator your creator created you to be, okay? Or you will have to sell yourself off a pound at a time to a very corrupt society. Look at, it's either growth through pain or growth through insight. The power of total forgiveness must happen, and it must begin and end with you. You're not the problem. Your belief systems are. You'll always be needy until you get what you need. You'll always be needy until you get what you need. I hope you get this. It's not about being selfish. It's about becoming centered in the self. So understand that you haven't seen anything yet. You wait till you see what we're going to be releasing. We will give you back your power, okay? But you're going to have to stop giving it away, all right? If you're around midnight on Tuesday night, just know that we're giving away the A to Z Masterclass for free to the first 1,000 people. God bless everyone. And today, You know what? Let's say no when we would have said yes, and let's say yes when we should have said no. Let's learn to start honoring our body, that beautiful vehicle that God gave you, that you are now driving around until you decide to exit from this game. Have the best day of your life. God bless.